Right.
All right. Thanks everyone for showing up and coming to this special webinar with us for the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. We like to, this group here, this is our partners. I'm Brock Murgis, partners Ryan Carter, Bill Papanasso. I probably butchered that name, and then Sandy Bondarat. We uh, we are apartment investors, and then what we like to do on every deal that we get is partner with a nonprofit that's dear to our heart, and then that way we try to promote this company, and then throughout the life of the deal, 3 to 5 years, all the profits we make, we give portions of our profits to them, and also to help bring awareness to it. So without further ado, tonight it's all about SOWF. I'll turn it over to Sean Corrigan, the Executive Vice President, and let him go give him an introduction and start the webinar. Sean?
Great. Thanks, Brock. And thank you for the introduction, and thank you for supporting Special Operations Warrior Foundation. So just as a little background, I um, I work for the foundation, and it's an opportunity to give back to the community that gave so much to me. I was in special operations for about 26 out of my 30 years in the Army, and I can never give back everything that it gave to me, but this is my effort to try. So Ryan, can we go to the mission slide, the next slide? So this slide captures what Special Operations Warrior Foundation does and who we serve. So there's two main parts to simplify it of what we do. We provide cradle to career education opportunities for the children of fallen special operations personnel and for all the children of all Medal of Honor recipients. The second part is immediate financial assistance to severely wounded, ill, and injured. And eligibility kind of falls into three different categories. So it's all about the kids for the education programs. So anyone working in any unit in US SOCOM, that's about 73,000 people, or anyone serving with a SOCOM unit in a combat area, if they die in the line of duty, then their family's automatically, without any applications, eligible for all of our education programs. Second category is the children of all Medal of Honor recipients, whether they're special operations or not, whether they live through the mission where they earn the Medal of Honor. So all Medal of Honor children. The third category that we recently added in the last 2 years is the children who lose a spouse of a special operations person. So, like when I was serving, if my wife had died, our children would have been eligible. So the idea is the family serves, not just the special operator. And if those children lose a mother in most cases, then we want to support those children as well. So that's kind of the eligibility, and that's all jammed into this mission statement, which would get you an F in any military school and a no-go on your Ranger patrols, but that's kind of why it's all in there. Next slide, please. Our core values. This comes down to accountability. We're accountable to the families we serve, making sure they get everything we promised them. We say promise made, promise kept, enduring promise. If we say we're going to have a program, that means it's forever. If we're going to support a certain education program, it's from now into infinity. We look at the infinite horizon. Our youngest student is about she was 7 weeks old in November when her father died in an Osprey crash off the coast of Japan. So she's about 5 to 6 months old at this point, projecting her to be graduate of the class of 2046 or 2047 for college. So that timeline just keeps moving to the right. It's a perpetual mission. So we hold ourselves and others consistent to all standards of honesty and moral principles. Stewardship comes down to transparency and how we're spending the money that people donate so we can take care of these families. And so we literally try to make as much of that money go to serving families and as little as possible towards other things. Our best daily. It's this commitment and compassion come down to the personal relationship that we have with these families. It's not just stroking a check, it's a commitment to that family. Every single student is a unique case. They have their own attributes, their own things that they excel at, things they have difficulties with, their dreams, their goals. Our job is to help them achieve their goals and get to a career of their choice and be great Americans. So all 1,100 plus of our kids are individuals who we address individually, working until they're 18 through their surviving parent. Next slide, please. So when I say cradle to career education support, here's kind of how it lays out in terms of chronology. Preschool funding, and then private school tuition assistance. We have a college planning course, and I'll go into these in more detail. College scholarships, which is all inclusive. Talk a little bit more about that as well. And then college to career transition. Two programs, education programs that start as soon as they are eligible, however old they are when their soft parent dies, are private tutoring, and that's unlimited. Any subject, whether that's to get from a D to a C or an A to an A plus, or maybe it's a subject that their school doesn't teach. If they want to learn German instead of Spanish and it's not offered in their school, we will help out with that unlimited. Our board has given us discretion to spend on that to help out the families. And then students with disabilities, and this we define disabilities very, very broadly. It could be any kind of neurodivergent issue. It could be everywhere from severe autism to milder symptoms. It could be behavioral issues to where the student needs to be in a very structured environment, say like a military boarding school. And again, uh, unlimited funding on that. And we have a licensed clinician who's our head of scholarships and family outreach, and she handles all of those cases. She's a professional, she's licensed, knows what she's doing, knows what's available through the government, what's not, how to get what's available through TRICARE, when that stops, and anything like A/B testing and things like that that TRICARE funds but cuts off at age 16. We're there to pick it up. Next slide, please. So preschool funding, and this is available to our students 2 to 5 years of age. And if they're still in preschool at 6, that's okay. That's just kind of a guideline. And we offer up to $8,000 per year per child, any accredited preschool. So it's not for daycare, it's for preschool. And the idea on this is that children who go to preschool have a leg up when they start kindergarten because generally they have the structure, they understand the socialization, they've begun to learn how to read, all that kind of thing. So this is a really important program to us, and we have an awful lot of families, the ones who have young kids, taking advantage of this. Next slide, please. So private school tuition assistance, we started that after COVID. Or during COVID, actually, we polled our families and found out that 30% of them were already sending their kids to private school and paying the full bill out of pocket. So in that whole cradle to career um, mindset, our board said, well, maybe we should be helping out with more than just tutoring. for that K through 12 time frame. And so these are the things that we implemented. Private school tuition assistance is up to $5,000 per year per child for any accredited private school. Or we had also during COVID, a lot of families decided that they wanted to go to homeschooling or were already homeschooling. And so we pay all actual expenses for homeschooling. The family see here, if you're counting, yeah, that's 9 kids, and she's homeschooling them all. And so when her husband died, um, she literally would have had to send them all to school and lose contact with her kids if she didn't have the help of being able to homeschool them. So we've worked with this family, the Duckworth family. Um, Another aspect of this personal relationship is if she needs help with something like a mortgage-free home, we work with US SOCOM and other partners in the nonprofit space who we know who help out with those kind of things. So it's again a very, very personal relationship. Next slide, please. College planning. This is sort of the Super Bowl, Daytona 500, World Cup, all wrapped up in one for us. When kids are generally between their sophomore and junior year in high school, that summer, we invite them to come to the University of Tampa for a 1 week college planning course. They live in dorms at University of Tampa. They eat in the cafeteria. The campus staff, the university staff, gives them tours and talks to them about admissions. A retired admissions dean comes in and presents a course called Best College Fit, and really he goes through step by step how to pick the right school for you. Big public school, small private school, trade school versus a college, picking your degrees, what you have to do in high school to get into colleges, how to work the application process, resume writing, the whole 9 yards. It's very, very intense. And really through the whole process, these 30-ish kids, who some of them don't know any other kids who lost a parent, depending on where they live. Everybody in that room, to include the graduate SOWF graduate mentors who come back to mentor these kids during that week and live in the dorm with them, they all lost a parent. So they all have something in common. And it's a great bonding experience for them. It's cathartic for a lot of them. And they all walk away, one, having this new network who they stay in touch with really, really well. And two, it demystifies this whole college application process. And literally it's I learn something every year. And I've got a daughter who's graduating college this year and a son who's going into college this year. So I've gone through it twice myself, but I learn something every year from this college planning course. And then we also fund ACT and SAT prep courses for the kids, up to 5 college applications we pay for, and we fund up to $5,000 cumulatively of college visits. So the surviving parent and the student can go out and look at a couple different schools. $5,000, if you hit colleges nearby, you visit a lot of colleges. If you decide you want to go to University of Hawaii, that might be like one visit right there. So, and we're a little bit flexible on that. The goal is to get them to go to the right college for them, or the right trade school or whatever, the first time. So they're not having to switch schools and lose credit hours and all that kind of thing. Next slide, please. And then college scholarships. This is our biggest program. We spent $4.9 million last year on college expenses. So it's any accredited college, university, trade school, or certificate generating program, like commercial driver's license. We'll pay for that. So it's full tuition, room, board, books, miscellaneous expenses, any of those crazy expenses, IT expenses, everything the colleges throw in now, we covered all. The goal is the student, the family does not pay anything. They don't have to get a job at Starbucks as a barista or anything like that to make ends meet. The goal is to allow them to fully focus on their studies. We also send them off with a laptop and printer package. And then once they're in school, if they get an unpaid internship, we'll help out with up to a $5,000 stipend. So they don't miss any opportunities because they couldn't afford the living expenses to take this internship opportunity. And then also study abroad opportunities when schools have them. It's got to be affiliated with the school and an academic program, not just, a vacation in Paris or something like that. So Naz here, I know really well, know her and her three siblings who she is taking care of because her father was special forces killed in Afghanistan. Um, but her mother also died, and she took responsibility for her three siblings who were also helping out through school. But incredible young woman, graduated from University of South Florida here in Tampa, and is now going to grad school, and she's going to work on her doctorate. Now, we don't pay for graduate degrees, but for our students who are doing well, we don't ask them to use any of their Chapter 33 GI Bill FRI scholarship benefits. So we pay literally everything their last 2 years. And so that's what she's doing right now, is using her GI Bill um, FRI scholarship benefits to get her through grad school. Next slide, please. And so when the kids are in college, nearing the end of college, or even after they graduate, we bring them back to Tampa for a 3-day seminar to try to give them some of the skills that they'll need to go from being in college, graduating college, to actually getting a job and starting a career. And we call that College to Career Transition Program. And here you can see last year's class. And, we focus on the things that schools may or may not teach, like resume writing. We do video resumes. One of our graduates has his own video production company. He comes back and helps us out and does video resumes with each individual student. Interviewing training, and through a Navy SEAL connection, Dell has been very good to us. They send their hiring managers here to do mock interviews with these kids. And, these are the people that hire for Dell. So they'll tell them, no, you don't want to say that. You want to say this. Here's how you should get dressed for this kind of interview, all those kind of things. Personal branding, kind of go through their social media and get rid of all the red Solo cups and everything that has accumulated on there from their college days. Talk about networking. And again, we work internships back into this. If they already haven't had an internship, we've got very good corporate connections through a company in California that Seal owns, called Silver Lake, through Berkshire Hathaway Energy Group and several other companies here in Tampa, to really get these kids out into different internships to see what kind of career might be right for them. Next slide, please. Yeah, private tutoring. I already kind of touched on that, but this is incredibly important. It became really important during COVID when kids couldn't go to in-person school, and even afterwards, it's going to take a while to catch up from the learning loss during COVID when students weren't in school. Some of them are like a year and a half behind, and this is one way to really help them out and catch up. And then next slide, please. Yeah, the students with learning disabilities. This is another family that we know very, very well. Declan McClintock was really young. I want to say 1 year old or less when his father was killed in Afghanistan, another special forces soldier. Declan was diagnosed with severe autism. And every day's a challenge. And then when COVID hit and the schools in Washington State shut down, he started regressing because he needed that daily routine. And so we helped his mom out and converted her, paid to convert her basement into a schoolhouse so he could put on his little backpack, go out the front door, walk around to the back door, go downstairs, go to his school, which looked like a classroom, like desks and all that stuff, and paid for the tutor to come in and kept him on track. And he's doing better than any of the doctors ever expected, but unlimited. We'll do anything it takes to get Declan to be all he can be. I'm Army, so I'm gonna stick with that one. Be all you can be. And it's been I've been with the foundation 5 years now, and it's been a real pleasure to watch him progress against all odds, absolutely against all odds, and to be a small part of that, it's really fulfilling. Uh, Next slide, please. This is kind of the scope, the numbers that we're looking at over the calendar year. We had 224 total students in college, and some of them graduated in the spring, some graduated in the summer. But over the course of 2023, we had a total of 224 in school. The average per college student that we paid was $20,092. So some were obviously much more, some were much less, but that was the average. As of 31 December, we had 192 enrolled in college. One has since graduated, so right now we have 191. We spent $4.9 million, and that was up 25%. We had a few more kids in school, but the inflation for college was way up there in 2022. 37 received post-secondary degree or certificate. So that's not just college degrees, but associate's degrees or trade school or certificates. 77%, however, of our high school graduates do go on to attend four-year colleges, and we have a 97% attendance rate for those kids that come to that college prep course at the University of Tampa. 97% of them decide to go to college. And then oddly enough, not oddly enough, I know exactly why the reason was, but we added 156 children to our eligibility rolls in 2023, and that was almost twice as much as 2022. We had a few training deaths. We added some combat deaths from years prior that we didn't know about because they were in a supporting role to a special operations mission. But the vast majority of those children were added because of line of duty deaths due to 35% were due to cancer and or suicide. So my point is, just because we're not in a major conflict or a minor conflict, regional like Iraq, Afghanistan, the numbers continue to grow. Some of these suicides are obviously the result of Iraq and Afghanistan. So we don't expect the numbers to drop anytime soon. Next slide, please. So the wounded, ill, and injured support began in 2006, basically about the time the surge started right about the surge time in Iraq. The board looked and said, there's a missing piece here. These guys are getting dinged up, and the families can't afford to fly to Ramstein to Landstuhl hospital to be with their loved ones. So start a program where we write a check that goes to the service member, straight to the service member, or if they're incapacitated, to the spouse. And it's no strings. It's their money. They use it for what they need to, whether that's flying grandma in to take care of the kids when they launch off to go be with the service member, or put the dog in the kennel, doesn't matter. It's a $5,000 check now and an iPad so they communicate. and we launched it off. I launched one today. A guy's got cancer, and he's away from home station getting treatment. He's going to be there 2 or 3 months at least, and so we're going to help him take care of bills at home. Uh, Send him a check this afternoon. Last year, we had 55 severely wounded, ill, or injured SOF personnel, and that's across the entirety of the command. So 55 sounds, I mean, it's a big number. It's bad for those families, but out of a population of 73,000, it's thankfully kind of low. When we have those conflicts, those numbers go up really, really fast. We had a helicopter crash in Syria that accounted for about 20 of those 55. And that easily could have been much, much worse. They could have been um, they could have been added to our rolls of those who passed in the line of duty. So next slide, please. Yeah, I probably should have reversed the order of these two slides, but just a map depiction of where our students are going to school. And you can see kind of high concentrations around some of the areas where special operations bases are. They're in Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, out in San Diego, but really the kids where they go to school is spread out all over the US and a couple in Europe as well. So we will pay for whatever school they get into, and we don't try to drive them towards any one school. So every year this map changes, and it's kind of interesting. If you go on the website, you can highlight it and see what schools they actually are if you hover the mouse over the little icon things there. Next slide. Yeah, there you go. When I talked about accountability, transparency, and uh, our responsibility to those, our donors who make it possible for us to accomplish our mission, we've had, I think it's actually now up to 16 straight years of 4-star ratings on Charity Navigator. Every year we have an independent annual audit. We just finished our audit for 2023. All the numbers are good. 91.6% of our money goes to programs, whether it's wounded, ill, and injured or education programs. Um, our financials and the IRS Form 990s are right there on our website under documents. The board of directors is active. I will say that we've got a large board of 25 members. Kind of interesting if you go to the website and look at who's on the board. A mix of military, civilian, business, academics. But when it comes down to making sure that we're being accountable for how we're spending the money, they're very active. The Finance Investment Committee meets monthly. They are very, very good at what they do in the finance world. So we're in good guidance and leadership there. We do an actuarial every 3 to 4 years to kind of project the need. The last one was done last year, 31 December 2022, Ernst Young. So it's independent. They run the numbers, and so we know what the unfunded liability is in business speak. And there's accountability on the students' part too, and we kind of follow the same rules that the VA does. Our students have to maintain a 2.0 GPA. If they fall below that, they go on academic probation for a semester, try to get that back up. If they stay below for 2 semesters straight, they become ineligible for a year. They can come back to us with a plan on how they're going to get themselves straight and how they're going to do better. And if we think they're serious about getting back into it and doing better and have a better plan, then we'll re-enroll them. So that's accountability on the students' part, because the stewardship aspects, we owe that to the people who donate money to the foundation to make sure it's being used properly for these kids. And I believe the next slide is the question slide, or yeah, that's the end of the briefing.
All All right, thanks, Sean. And that was awesome. Yeah, I know some of the guys in this, in your, in this organization. So I'm glad we partnered with you. I do have a question. Like during COVID, kind of switched gears, right? Kind of seeing that people need to be homeschooled now. Um, is there anything new on the horizon that y'all going to switch gears for?
No, at this point, and literally we're going to talk about it at the board meeting. We've only been doing the private school tuition assistance since 2022. So we really only have a year and a half worth of data on it. And the question is, are we doing enough? How much can we sustain? I think we spent 1.5 million on that last year. If we go from 5,000 to a higher number, what can we sustain? That's the one thing, because $5,000 in some places will get you a long way towards a year of private school. In some places, it won't get you very far. So that's one thing. The always looking for new opportunities as far as tutoring, mentoring, working with other organizations. On all things academic. But right now, we're not looking at any other academic programs. It's kind of a matter of scaling them. We think we're about right for preschool. There's only one family above $8,000, so that generally covers everyone. Um, yeah, it's more more a matter of scaling than anything else right now. What can we afford to give?
Yeah, especially with inflation and all, that could
Yeah.
change things. And yeah, especially with, you know, we know guys that get out and all this stuff that we were breathing and for all these years, the cancers, and then there's a crazy amount of people killing themselves right now. So, and we don't really have a true answer for that. So, do you expect those numbers to continue to rise?
Yeah, unfortunately, I do, and it's not for lack of effort on the military or SOCOM's part. In fact, in April, going to a 2-day conference on alternative treatments and suicide prevention, all that kind of thing, and really, um, yeah, we're gonna it'll take a generation to get through this. The scars are pretty deep, and we talked about some of the guys from the unit, and I mean, literally like 30 years later. So, yeah, it's there's no magic solution. That's my conclusion. There's no one single magic solution, because like all these kids, every single operator has their own personal case and their own personal demons. And one thing will work for one guy, maybe it's dogs, maybe it's something else. One thing will work for another guy, maybe it's LSD or magic mushrooms or whatever. But yeah, it's case by case.
Yeah, and it's crazy. That's kind of the word on the street, right? When I'm talking to other people, we don't know. There is no one silver bullet.
Right.
Fortunate thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately. Well, I do think one thing that helps though is being proactive, reaching out to guys. And, if you think guys having issues, you got to be proactive, reaching out, picking up the phone, calling them, because they're not going to answer your texts. They're not going to answer emails. Maybe they might pick up the phone. So I know that's kind of been a focus out there.
Somebody have any more questions for Sean?
Yeah, Sean, how could somebody reach out and contribute to your organization?
Right. The easiest way is on our website. It's pretty easy. It's specialops.org. And our website kind of goes through everything that I talked about. And then there's a page that says events, if they want to participate in some of the events, whether it's a golf tournament, a shooting match, 10K, you name it. Or if they want to just straight donate, there's a ways to give page, a donation page on the website.
Great. We'll also post that in our next posting, saying that after this webinar, and we'll start blasting that out, and hopefully we get some traffic to you.
Great. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Any more questions? Sean, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time this evening to come talk about this. It's a wonderful organization, and we're so proud and humbled that we're partnered with you, and we're looking to build a long-term relationship with you. This is hopefully one of many deals to come. So again, appreciate it and thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. We're honored to be chosen by you guys to support the foundation, the families we serve.
Awesome. Thank you all.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right.